was awesome. I always had trouble kind of getting back into the flow after the meditation for it. It's my pleasure today to introduce Dianne Stewart Hamlin. I don't know what all these letters are. What's an ALSP? What's that one? A licensed spiritual practitioner. I know. Agape. Gotcha. Okay. She's a motivational speaker, an author, licensed spiritual counselor, and life strategist. Dianne Stewart Hamlin has dedicated her life to teaching others to live wholly and fully. Dianne has a breadth of experiences and training that enhance the way she works with individuals and groups. As a spiritual counselor, Dianne holds a Juris Doctor and a Master of Business Administration degree. As a spiritual counselor, Dianne is licensed by Agape International Spiritual Center and the Centers for Spiritual Living. She's currently a ministerial student, God bless you, at the Michael Bernard Beckworth School of Ministry at Agape University. With more than 15 years' experience working in the human potential movement, Dianne supports individuals and organizations to create breakthroughs and paradigm shifts to become grounded in principles that afford them the ability to accomplish their greater yet to be. I want to sit right next to you in a second. Dianne offers a wide range of tools and skills that help you tap into your greatness and live your life fully. You can follow her at A Real Life Changer. Is that up? It's going to go on the next one, okay. And she's on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and email. So without further ado, I am very honored to introduce to you Dianne Stewart Hamlin. I can't believe I got that.
It always sounds like a lot.
It is a lot.
You're done, Robin.
It is a lot. I'm trying to get my papers out of my way.
And it gets, good morning, CSL Greater Baltimore.
Good morning, Dianne.
How are you?
Good.
Yes? Everybody's great? Amazing? Fabulous? Yes? Woo! And thank you to our wonderful interpreters, who I just love so much. So I'm grateful to be here this morning. Really want to thank Reverend Raymond for reaching out to me and inviting me to be here. I want to thank everyone in this community for always being so incredibly welcoming when I come. And it's good to be here and to be with you and to watch this community coming together in such a really powerful way. So it was a little short notice when I got the call from Reverend Raymond, or rather from Tracy, who I want to thank also. And so I sat with the theme of the month and all these things, and then sat with the idea of what's going on right now for all of us in the world. Because one of the things that I recognize is that, I don't know if you feel it, but there's a quickening happening on the planet. There's a quickening happening in the world. Like we are now, there's a lot of spirituality rising up to the surface. And there's all this other yucky, gunky stuff that's also bubbling up to the surface. And so that yucky, gunky stuff is hijacking our minds, right? And it's hijacking our lives, and it is taking us away from the truth of what we know, right? Because we are so caught up in this media frenzy, and in this frenzy of people, because old paradigms are dying, right? And because they're dying, they're like making all this noise. They're fighting harder to remain relevant. They're fighting harder to become important, to be in control, because the control is going away. So the old paradigms are like freaking out. So, there's all this activity, and then it's got so many people paying attention to it. Even people that are not a part of it are like caught up, right? It's sort of like if you ever turn a television on in front of a little child, like a small baby, and you have this big screen, and it comes on, and all of a sudden the child is like, looking. You can't get their eyes, the eyes get a little bigger, and they're like locked and loaded on what's going on. That's sort of what's going on with us right now. And as I was meditating, I was thinking about all we're talking about is gun violence and hate and racial disparities and sexual disparities and gender disparities. And that's all that we seem to see on the news. That's all we seem to see, and we're not seeing that people are praying more. People are meditating more. People are looking within themselves more to find the answer and the truth of what's going on. But nobody's talking about that because we're over here locked and loaded on this other thing, right? It's like a distraction. It's a distraction for you to be looking at something that's not even relevant to your life, right? Because in your day-to-day life when you get up, your day-to-day life isn't really about all those things. Your daily life is about human interaction. It's about how we get up every day. Like for me, I get up every morning, I do prayer, I do meditation, I do a little juicing, I go for a run. On my run, I see my neighbors, and we all greet each other. We say varying levels. There's the man that just goes like this, and gives me a little wave. And I see him coming and stuff. At first, I started mirroring him, and I was like, hey, and then I was like, hey, good morning. And then he started saying good morning to me. And then there are other people that just say morning, and they never actually look at you or make eye contact, but we're all starting to interact. And that's what's going on in our daily lives, right? And then we put on our clothes and we go into the world to deliver whatever gift it is that we're going to deliver, right? Whether you're going to be the teller at the bank, or you're going to be a teacher, you're going into a courthouse, wherever you're going, a doctor, lawyer, Indian-chief, doesn't matter. You're going in to do your work, and you go into the world and you interact with each other. And for the most part, what we're there to do is deliver our gifts and talents, is to serve each other. And that's generally how we show up in the world. But we're all so locked and loaded on this thing, and you know it, because when you go into your social media feed, even some of my most spiritual, gigantic friends are posting all this madness, and they're like, look at this, look at what's happening in our world. And it's like we're starting to create our own crisis. We're creating our own crisis, and we're participating in the crisis because the paradigm that's dying, the paradigm that's going away, that's falling away, is making the most noise right now. And the more we we talk to ourselves and we teach ourselves, what you put your attention on grows. And we keep putting our attention back over to this place, and then we wonder why we feel so gunky. We wonder why we feel so uncomfortable inside. We wonder why sometimes you ever find yourself, you're angry, you don't know why you're angry, or you're annoyed, you don't know why you're annoyed. You're in traffic and you're mad at everybody on the highway because they're not going fast enough, they're going too fast, they're changing the lane too slowly, they're not moving. And you're just angry, and you don't even know why. You're carrying all this stuff. And it's like, what does it matter if the person that's driving in the lane next to you is driving slower? Or if the person in front of you is driving too slow, go around them. You don't need to spend all that time in anger and energy, but where is that coming from? Where is that coming from? And I tell people all the time, you can measure your spiritual condition by the way you behave in traffic when you're in your car, by yourself, and you are arguing with others, or you're yelling at people. You can tell where you are spiritually, because you might just be tooling along, having a good morning, or you might just be yelling and screaming at everyone. So I always tell myself, when I find myself all tense in the car, I'm like, whoa, what's going on? It's like a way to check yourself. But the point that I'm making is the more we pay attention to constant negative news, the more we pay attention to things, the more it starts to become a part of who we are. So we spend a lot of time, I know someone that is a CNN junkie, and from morning till night, the TV is on, and the news is on, and they know everything that's going on in Washington, and everything that's going on in everywhere. They know about all the killings, and the shootings, and all of it. It's all there, and that's all they do. And so they carry that with them. Well, then what they're doing is they're looking at the world through those lenses. That's the filter that they're using to see the world. So you stop now. You stop seeing beautiful people. You stop seeing beautiful experiences. You stop seeing the birds in the sky and how lovely they are. All you see is the poop that they drop on the ground and on your car. Because you can't see the beauty of them spreading. Because what do? They spread seeds, which allows trees to grow, which in turn provides oxygen for us. And you can't see the beauty of that because all you can see through your filter, right? All you're seeing is the poop on your car. And you can't feel the beauty of a breeze, a gentle breeze that trickles across your skin because all you can think is, oh my God, it's going to rain, it's going to storm now. Because you can't see the beauty anymore in life because you're filtered through things. So your life becomes about showing up, you're kind of trudging, you do your work, you go home, and you're in the car with the news, and all of what awful things have happened while I was at work, And then you go home and you turn on the TV and you watch the news some more and listen to all of the awful things that they've done. And you listen to all this stuff, the stock market fell. I mean, it fell and rose how many times this week? Every time I turned on the radio, it's like stock market lost 300 points. I turned it off. I got back in the car. Stock market gained 600 points. It lost 400. And it's like if you're focused on that, and if that is like central to what you're doing every day, think of like what it's doing to your nervous system, your anxiety level. It's fallen. Oh my God, the world's going to a pot in a hell in a handbasket. You're panicked. It rose. Okay, we're good again. And they have you on a string. They have you on a string looking at, my life is good because it rose. Really? My life is bad because it plummeted. How are you affected directly in your day-to-day living? Notwithstanding that you may have some money in the stock market, but how are you affected in your day-to-day being? What I'm saying is they hijack you, the television, it hijacks you, the media, it hijacks you. It tells you what to believe, it tells you what to think. And you're there having conversations about it with your friends, and you're not even thinking anymore about it in a different way. It's the same way in all areas of your life. In the way that you were raised, just to look at different aspects of how your life can get hijacked. You're raised in a particular culture, you're raised in a particular community with a set of belief systems. Your family is a community that gives you another set of belief systems. And you're walking through the world looking at those things. Now, some of those belief systems, really, most of them, are based in other people's experiences in the world. It's not really that it's a truth or a fact that this is so and culturally you are this, or because you are, for my example, you were Stewart, you're this kind of person. You know, you're growing up with your beliefs about who you are based on their experiences. You know, last week I was at CSL Columbia and Reverend Brian said he just said it. He said, you know, like racism. Racism wouldn't exist if man didn't create it. You know, cultures, they exist because we create them. That's how we show up in the world, and that's the way that we build in the world. But not everything about your culture or about the way you were raised or about the way you show up in the world is serving your highest and best, especially because the things that you were taught are old news. They're old experiences. They're not the experiences for your life today. The experience for your life today is a very different thing. You're living in a different world. Just look at a kid with a cell phone. Just look at that. Look at a child, look at the way we get on the internet and how we communicate and how we correspond. The way that they used to be and the way that things used to be and what was useful to your success in the world is not necessarily useful to your success today. So you have to constantly create. You have to take your life back. You have to take it back from old ideas and old belief systems. You have to take it back from ideas that are limiting to how we show up today. You have to take it back. When I was growing up, homosexuality was not like the thing. It wasn't the thing, but now we live in a world where people are free to be gender fluid. They're free to be homosexual, queer, lesbian, anything that they are within their own selves can now fully be developed, unfolded, and expressed. And the tools that I was given as a child does not prepare me to deal with that now in this 2019. So I have to constantly renew who I am, constantly renew how I show up. We all have to do it. We have to take our lives back from the media. We have to take our lives back from false belief systems. We have to take our lives back from things that no longer serve us in our present paradigm. And we have to first figure out, well, what is our present paradigm? What am I here to do in this world? Because everybody has something that they are here to give, to share, something beautiful, something logical. All of it is God, so we are here to unfold upon each other. And without any one of us, the unfolding doesn't happen. So if I don't cultivate all of who I am, right where I am, with all of the tools that are available to me, I do a disservice to the rest of the world because we are all connected. We are all God expressing upon its own self. We are expressions of the Most High created in the DNA of Spirit itself. So everything about me is the DNA of the Creator. And so my role is necessary. Your role is necessary. Your showing up in your highest and best is important for the unfolding of mankind right now. And if you continue to hold on to your old way and your old paradigm and your old belief system, if you continue to allow those things that do not serve mankind to hijack your life and hijack your reality, and you continue to do that, the world doesn't get to experience all that it should. You are necessary for the unfolding of the human race, for mankind. Your part matters, absolutely, and you ought to show up and say yes to that. And when I say it matters, I mean it matters fully for everyone who you come in contact with. All of the ripple effects of who you are when you get up every day. This was my favorite experiment. I work in a courthouse all the time. And so I go through several entrances, and there are people that are at the security, and every day I say, hi, good morning to them. And every day I say, happy Monday, or I'll say, happy Wednesday, or I'll say, yes, happy Friday. And I go through this, and I've been doing it with them now for probably around six or so years. Well, now, when I come into the courthouse over time, it has shifted to where they greet me, happy Friday, before I'm not even close to the door, but they feel my energy, and then we start to interact in that way, and there's a joy that we're sharing. There's a love that we're sharing. There's an honoring that we're sharing, and there's this really important thing that I let them know that I see you. And what I know and what I was taught and what I know and believe absolutely within myself is that when I see each and every one of you, I see God, divinely expressed in its highest and fullest form. You are created out of the image and likeness of God. And you know, when I carry that, when I walk with that, when I go for my morning run with that in my mind, everyone I see, everywhere I look, the trees, the birds in the sky, the deer, all of it, it's all God. And so I develop myself and I do spiritual practices. Because if I don't practice, what will happen is my mind will get hijacked. And I will be caught up in the things that don't serve my highest and best. And I will begin to attach to those things in a way that allows them to affect my life. And I know this not because it's a theory, I know it because it's a fact. I know it because I have experienced it. I have walked in a way in the world, and most recently, I found myself hijacked by darkness because I had a thing going on over here with one of my children, and I had another thing going on over here in a relationship, and I had a thing going on over here with work, and I had these things going on, and all of a sudden, guess what I was doing? I was rehearsing the story in my mind about the worst case scenario and the worst case possibility. And I rehearsed that over and over till I started living it. I was walking, breathing, because I was rehearsing it. And you know how you rehearse it, you're thinking about it even when you're not with the person or you're not there and it's not happening, and then you had a conversation and you start, I don't know if anybody's ever experienced this, but you have a conversation, you think you said all that you needed to say, and then next morning you get up and start rehearsing what you should have said. And I should have said, and when she said, I should have said, oh man, I didn't say. And you're rehearsing and reliving, and it's like this craziness, right? But what you're doing is you're spiraling downward. You're spiraling downward, so then you got to catch yourself, because you will go into the darkness, and you will find yourself, and you're stumbling around. And sometimes you don't go into dark places by yourself, you know? You turn on the light. See what you're doing. And the way you do that is you start with prayer. And you practice every day with meditation. And sometimes, you know, meditation is not always easy. People want to, you know, think that, okay, I'm just gonna sit and go into the silence, but I don't know. Again, I don't know about you guys, but I know for me, when I'm trying to meditate, when I'm trying to take my life back, and I sit down, all of a sudden my to-do list goes, and don't forget, you have to go to the store and get kale, because we don't have any kale. You're like, no, I'm meditating. You know, and you sit there for a while, right? And then again, you get a little bit of silence. And then it's like, did you remember Carver, Michael? Did you send him a text? Because, oh. And you keep getting distracted, but you take your mind back from the chatter that in your head will distract you. And here's the other thing. For people who practice spirituality, I want you to know that as you are sitting where you are, so is your ego, right? And so your ego takes notes, right? And then smacks you around with spirituality. You're not meditating enough. You're not meditating long enough. That wasn't a good prayer. You're not praying enough. You're supposed to be spiritual. What would make you even think like that? And it starts to smack you around a little bit. So you got to pay attention, right, to the chatter in your head and what you're saying to yourself about yourself. Because you got to take your mind back from old ideas and old behaviors. You got to take your mind back. So you got to start to do things like limit your time watching the news. It's okay to get the 10-minute soundbite, but don't keep going for more. It's good to know what's going on in the world so you know what to pray about, right? It's good to know that, this has happened and people are experiencing these things and we can pray about it. It's good to know that somebody has done something really great so that we can pray about the great way they showed up, so that'll magnify some more in the world. It's good to know what's going on in the world that you're moving around in, but don't stay locked and loaded on it. So the real important thing is to get up, take your mind back every day with a spiritual practice. For me, when I get up out of bed, before I get up, I stretch, I rotate my ankles, I do all that stuff, and then I put my feet on the ground and I remind myself, and I give thanks and gratitude that the ground will rise up to meet my feet. And that when I put my feet down, I'm not just going to fall off the planet, I'm going to actually land on the ground and it's going to be okay, and I stretch my body, and I give thanks. I give thanks for the breath that I'm breathing, and then I ask, what is mine to do? And then I go into my practices. I go into the place, how can I serve today? I sit in meditation. I do a little juicing. I do some prayer. I practice every day. And then I carry little reminders around with me. Because again, I can get hijacked by the busyness of the day, right? And the debris of the day. And it was a hard day in work today, and I can get distracted by that. So what I do is, I bring my journal. It's always in my briefcase. And I always have my book of the week in my briefcase. So I bump into it. And sometimes I may not have time to open it and even read a sentence. But when I see it, it reminds me, don't forget who you are. Don't forget who you are. You are a unique emanation of the Most High. Focus and be that person. So you have to take your life back from those places. You've got to choose every day to take your life back from old ideas. And here's another thing. I just shared with you about how I got distracted with the thing with my child and the relationship and this thing at work, and and I got distracted. And it's okay. It happens. You can still take your life back. And I had this really great analogy that Reverend Michael gave us the other day, and he spoke it, was that, if you have a toaster, right? And you don't plug it into the wall for a year, right? And then one day you decide, oh, I want toast. And you plug it in, you plop the bread in, and guess what you get? You get toast. Because the source is always there. And I was like, that's so cool, that is so simple. And he was like, damn, toast, baby. And I was like, yes! Because it's the simple things to remind you, God is always God. God is always God. God is always God. Spirit is always sourcing you every breath you take. God breathing its own self. You are it and it is you. No matter how long you stay hijacked, you can always take your life back. You can always say, enough. Why am I in this low-level consciousness? Why am I walking around angry? Why are we fighting? Why am I going through this? Wait a minute. There's another way. And you just plug back in consciously, because you were never unplugged, right? Because you can't be separated. You just turn your attention back to the thing itself. God is always God. God is always God, period. And it's a presence that's everywhere. So at some point, wherever you are, you can always, no matter where you are in your spiritual journey or practice, you can always take that time, take your life back. It's a simple thank you. Thank you for breathing me. A simple, I'm still in my body. When I wake up sometimes, because sometimes when you're caught up in that stuff, wake up and be like, I'm still, thank you, I still have a chance to correct that foolishness, right? And get yourself back aligned and celebrate your life. And what I am most grateful for every day is the opportunity to stand within this incarnation as Dianne, and to really be able to see my growth, to see that I am not who I was last month, and to see that even sometimes when there's a little bit of what appears to be regression, it's really that I'm going back to get some stuff that I didn't work out before. Because once it's worked out, you don't have to go back. So if you find yourself like spiraling, regressing to a place, you know, the other day I was going through a thing and I was running and all of a sudden I was like, oh, I thought I had fixed that. I thought I was over that. And I was like, no, there's still that little place in you where you were still working out how much you are worth and what you deserve and how you deserve better. So if you deserve better, inferring that what you have isn't enough, right? And I was like, oh God, I gotta go back. That's why I had been spiraling in that area, because I needed to go back. There was some stuff I hadn't cleaned out. And I need to go back and excavate that stuff so that I can move forward to the next level of how I'm showing up in my life. So I'm telling you, every day is an opportunity to be better, to be greater, to be grand, to expand fully into the truth of who you are, and to remind yourself that God is always God, and you are one with it. So as we take this time, I invite you to join me in prayer so that we can go in and remind ourselves how good it is to know. So just take a moment just to take a breath. Right where you are, feeling the breath going deeply into your lungs. And knowing it's expanding your entire beingness, how grateful I am to know absolutely that there is only one power, one presence that sources, fuel, funds all things. It's back and behind all things. It undergirds all things. It is the breath that breathes me. It is the activity of my breathing. Every part of who I am is one with this power and presence. And the more that I remember the truth about who I am, I absolutely give permission to all to remember the truth of who they are. Knowing absolutely that what is true for me is true for each and every person in this room, each and every member of CSL Greater Baltimore, each and every person everywhere, no holds barred. God is always God, is always God, is always God, having its way as each being, each thing itself. There God is fully manifested. And I know absolutely that as I remember it, everyone here remembers the truth of who and what they are. They take their lives back from the hijacking. They take their lives back from the low-level consciousness. They take their lives back from old ideas, old paradigms, old belief systems, and they make a decision today to stand in the truth of who they are, to be their highest and best, to bring honesty, to bring love, to shine light, to be the presence. Always bringing it right where they are so that they can give others around them permission to be their highest and best. They allow themselves to unfold in such greatness and such truth. Everybody here in this beloved community continues to grow and unfold. The community grows in greatness and grandness. And everyone here is able to go out into the world and make it better just because they walked there, just because they shone the light, just because they showed up as truth, absolutely, as the power and presence. And the world is forever changed because CSL Greater Baltimore is here. I speak it, I know it, because it is absolutely so. And I release this word into the loving activity of the law itself, knowing it is already done, already made manifest, already whole. And together we say, and so it is. Amen. I needed that this morning. I'll tell you my picking beans story later. I got God bumps on my goosebumps. Thank you, my friend. Wow. I don't know what's on these websites or these internet connections, but I would suggest you go there and check them out because I could use more of that every day. You know, when we slide, I'll tell you my picking beans stories. I've been picking the beans in my garden. And when I was a kid, my stepfather had us pick beans. And I cannot pick beans without going back to that event in my childhood when I was so angry because I felt like my father was using us as child labor. Which he was. He absolutely was.
And I'm in my garden, which is my happy place, but when I pick the beans, I go right back there. So now, I can turn it around. I can turn it around. I'm grateful for the beans, and I'm grateful that they grew, and I'm grateful they're in my freezer. And I still need to turn that around. Thank you so much, Dianne. So now we have a reflective song from Ted John and
Just 10 John.
just Ted John. Oh, wow.